Hey everybody, I'm Djimon, aka the Terrible Australian at Supermarcy.com, and this is my video review of Furious 7, which is the 7th installment of the Fast and Furious franchise. So let's get right into it. I should say beforehand that, I recently rewatched the series, the previous 6 films again prior to seeing this one, because I have to admit though, with the films, I've only actually, for each of the 6 previous films, I only ever seen those films once, and I only saw them, at the time when they sort of came out. And I decided that, in sort of anticipation for this film, I'd go back and rewatch all 6 previous films in the lead up to this one. So after sort of rewatching the other films again recently, I was kind of like, yeah, it's an okay series, not bad, okay, but that's only after the first watches. But after sort of rewatching the series again recently, I have to say I've become an unabashed fan of the Fast and Furious franchise. It's kind of weird how this series that kind of started off being sort of, these kind of, critically, mileage, but still kind of smaller sort of action movies which it was back at the very first film, to becoming these highly acclaimed, huge box office success, big budget action films. And also, it's kind of astonishing for me on that level, but also for the fact that some of the best entries of this series have been around, parts 5 and 6, and also part 7, which I'm reviewing now, are some of the best entries in the entire series. Now, I can't even think of another franchise in which sort of, the best entries happen a few films into the franchise. There's probably a few out there, like the James Bond films, and probably a couple others that I can't think of the top of my head at the moment, but it's sort of very rare for or at least a series like this where its best entries came out later rather than at the very beginning. So in that regard, I was very excited to check out Furious 7. So what did I think of the movie overall? I absolutely loved it. I think it's a hugely entertaining, action-packed, thrill ride from beginning to end. And for somebody, it's just completely awesome. I mean, pretty much, there's a good reason why this film has been so successful it is at both the box office and worldwide. I mean, this film is the fastest to reach the $1 billion mark ever in history. So there's a good reason why that is. It's just a really fun and entertaining film. And also it's it is dumb, but the thing is, what I love about this film and also the other entries in the franchise is that it embraces its silliness and stupidity, but at the same time it plays it straight, so you can tell there's no sort of winking at the camera or sort of laughing at this absurdity of the whole situation that this film is in. Not that it would have been bad or anything. It's kind of refreshing that a film and a franchise as silly as this can just play it all in a straight face, while at the same time just being completely, utterly insane. And it's just an absolute ball, and I just loved every second of it. I think the cast are all great once again, like the main cast: Vin Diesel, Paul Walker, Michelle Rodriguez, Tyrese Gibson, Ludacris, and of course Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Again, all solid once again in their roles. This isn't a series, kind of like the Expendable films, where you don't go into this film expecting great acting, but you just go in to see the cast having, a really good time, and just sort of, giving performances that are, that work for a film like this. And everyone does a pretty solid job. And of course, you got new additions to the series, like Kurt Russell, who it's been quite a while since we've seen him in a big mainstream film, and he does it, and it's pretty awesome to see him again, and he does a really good job as well. And of course, you got Jason Statham, who plays the villain of the film, who I thought did a really good job. And I have to say, I think he's the best villain that this series has had so far. And I like the fact that, in a way, and I agree with somebody who mentioned this, like on Twitter a while ago, is that he's the way he approaches his character of Deckard Shaw in this film. He kind of plays him almost like a slasher villain. Like, he just is so unrelentless, so badass, and all he wants to do is pretty much kill our main characters. And also, I like the fact that he's sort of a character who is at least a match for our main characters, and I thought he just did a pretty solid job. And of course, some of the other supporting cast, like new actors like Nathalie Emmanuel, who was from Game of Thrones, and Tony Jaa, were pretty solid in their roles as well. And but of course, I got to give credit to Australian director James Wan, who I think he did a fantastic job of sort of making the leap from making sort of awesome, critically acclaimed horror films to big budget action films, and I thought he did a really fantastic job. His direction isn't quite as as polished as Justin Lin's direction was on 3, 4, 5, and 6, but he sort of still was able to still successfully carry on the tone of those previous films while also kind of putting his own stamp on it. This is a much more sort of grittier looking film, and some people might get a bit annoyed by sort of bit of the shaky cam and the quick editing and all that, but I thought it was done pretty well in this film, and you can actually still see what's going on, so it didn't really bother me that much at all. And of course, he sort of approaches, he takes the sort of incredible but very silly aspects of the film. He does the action scenes and all that extremely well, and he just does a really great job. I'm really, happy that he's just made this great transition to a big budget action film, because I knew he had it in him, so it was good to see that on display in this film, and just a really great job. Also, Chris Morgan's script is pretty solid. It's not the greatest script ever written, but it works for a film of this type, and the score by Brian Tyler is really solid. The cinematography is great, and CGI and also the practical effects of the film are both really effective. And of course, the action set pieces are phenomenal. Until Mad Max Fury Road comes out, I think this is probably, in my opinion, the best action film I've seen so far this year. It's just completely and utterly awesome. And of course, with a film like this, we all know that, Paul Walker passed away tragically passed away halfway during filming. And I think James Wan and his crew did a really good job at sort of, with the help of, body doubles, which include, Paul Walker's real-life brothers, and also with the help of CGI, they were successfully able to sort of fill in the gaps in the scenes that Paul wasn't able to shoot because of his death. And I think the film does a really good job at, at doing that, and doing it in a convincing way that it's not too distracting. And I also I have to say, the ending to this film is just perfect. It's moving. I didn't cry when I was watching it, but I was moved, and I thought it was just the perfect way to send, sort of farewell to to say farewell to Paul Walker's character of Brian O'Connor. I thought the film did a really good job at doing it in a moving but also very tasteful and respectful manner, while sort of honouring him, both the character that he plays in the film, but also for Paul as well. And I thought the film did a really great job at doing that. But a film like this, in terms of negatives, I did feel though, Djimon Hounsou, who's in the film, and he's a great actor, and I kind of felt like he was a bit underused in the role of the secondary villain of this film. He's not bad in the film, and he does well with what he's given, but I kind of wish his character was given more to do. His character could have easily have been taken out of the whole film entirely. It doesn't wreck it, but it just feels like I wish he was given more to do. And also Rhonda Rousey, who, even though she has a really cool fight scene with Michelle Rodriguez, her role is basically a glorified cameo pretty much. She's only in the film for 5 minutes. And I have to say, though, like, I know a lot of people sort of gave her crap for her performance in Expendables 3, which I thought she was okay, and I didn't think she was that bad. I thought, you know, she was fine, but I thought she was worse in this film. And she only has one line, and it just was... Her line delivery was pretty bad and kind of cringeworthy. And, of course, you know, there are some aspects of the plot that are a little bit muddled and don't really quite make any sense, but, you know, but that's okay, you know, but it didn't really bother me too much. So, overall, I have to say, I love this film, and it's definitely, without a doubt, my favourite entry in the Fast and Furious franchise so far. And you know what? Bring on number 8, because I can't wait to see it. So, overall, if I had to give this film a rating, I'd give it a solid 4.5. Yeah, that rating might be a bit too high, but you know what? I love the film so much that I feel like that's the rating it deserves. And it's my favourite silly action film of the year. And if you haven't seen it yet, definitely go check it out, for sure. Yep, that's the end of my video review of Furious 7. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you all later. See you, everyone. Bye.